I was once asked to write what I thought poetry meant. I was once asked to define what I think poetry is. But my English teacher told me that, and I was feeling hella lazy that day, so instead of writing it down, I got up in front of the class and I started like this. Warning! What you're about to see may cause insomnia, an open mind, and a greater understanding of the world around you. Caution! What you're about to see may be toe-toe and a pro-pro for pretty much everybody. And then I said this. Look at your man, now back to me, now back to your man, now back to me. Sadly, your man is not me, but if he wrote poetry, he could smell like me. Look down, look up, you're at this community center listening to a crazy and handsome man in front talk about what he thinks poetry is. What is poetry? What is poetry? Poetry, by definition, is a conglomeration of thoughts and ideas in your mind. Poetry can be spoken word, eaten back up, regurgitated, eaten back up once more, and finally excreted from your mouth and all other bodily orifices. Poetry has got to make you feel uncomfortable. Poetry is like a big, hairy, fat, naked white guy, and he has to be white, otherwise it's not funny, who gets up right in your face and tells you everything you didn't want to know about the time, the subject, and the place. Poetry is like him coming up to you, and you're sitting there, and you're watching his big, throbbing, sweaty arms, and you're wondering, what's going on? What's happening? I'm so uncomfortable right now. Poetry has got the way inspired. It can't be both. You've got to feel it here in your hearts, and here in your thoughts. Amen? Poetry. Poetry. What do you know about poetry? What do you know about the poet's life? Well, I'm about to teach you, so hide your kids and hide your wife. Poetry is stories. Poetry is stories. Poetry is a Nazi, the web weaver, coming down from the tree and telling me a story of what it's like to be me. Poetry is a story. Poetry is a story of the single mom dropping her 4 kids off at school every single morning, then going back to her crap job, where she gets a crap rate, where she gets treated like crap every single day just because she tries to make a living for her family. Poetry is the story of the guy that cut you off last Tuesday. Yeah, I know him. And you were really pissed at him because he didn't even use his turn signal. Yeah, except really? He was rushing straight to the hospital to see his first new child being born. And also, to see his wife die. Poetry is the story of the guy that you cut off last Tuesday, and he just got fired from his job, and now he's going home and realizing that he's alone, realizing that his parents and his friends are gone. He's going to tell himself that there's nothing else to live for, and he's going to take his own life. Poetry is the story of us yelling at our cell phones. Poetry is our story when we go, oh my God, why don't you work anymore, you useless piece of crap? I mean, forget the fact that you can contact people across the world in less than a nanosecond. Forget the fact that you can translate letters into numbers and into funny pictures of cats that I can send to my friends and family. Forget the fact that you run on electricity, a recent human development, by the way. And forget all of that. The fact that you want to me right now is absolutely horrible, and I hate you because of it. Forget that. Poetry is the story of us yelling into our phones while there are children in Sudan, Uganda, the Congo, yelling, Okukweta, 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 kill, rape, murder! Poetry is the story of those children who were taught that crumbs that would last us 2 seconds are more than enough to last them 2 days. Amen? Poetry is the story of us. Poetry is the story of the girl in the back row who's mad at the guy in the front because he reminds her too much of what could have been. Poetry is the story of the boy in the middle row who wants to live life as he knows it, and he wants to be joyful just as everyone else, but he can't because he was born and raised in a society where it is wrong to be gay. Amen? Poetry is our story. Poetry is your story. Poetry is my story. Poetry is their stories. Poetry can be hilarious at times. It can be sad at times. It can be serious and it can be mad at times. Poetry can be hip-hop. It can be dance. It can be song. It can be art. But one thing that poetry always is and always must be is meaningful. One thing that poetry is and always must be is life-changing. One thing that poetry is and one thing that I will always define poetry to be is pure. Thank you.